Ian McKelvey.
The place is falling apart. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the government welcomes the report, the Heron report, into the New Zealand fishing industry. And as so often happens in these cases, it's inevitable that these reports lead to a great improvement in practice. And I think without reports and without investigations into the methods that we use as a country for whatever it might be, whether it's fishing, farming, animal welfare or whatever, it's very difficult to improve practices. So I'm confident that this report will lead to the Ministry improving its practices significantly. Just a little bit of background to the report, in that there has been 3 fisheries investigations that were put out into the public arena sometime earlier in the year. This is the 3rd of them, and in the first 2, MPI made decisions not to prosecute commercial fishermen who were allegedly undertaking illegal activity. The report found in those 2 instances that MPI was justified in not taking prosecution. In the 3rd instance, this one, MPI's decision not to prosecute has been found to be somewhat flawed. Mr. Speaker, we heard from the Minister, and he assured us that MPI will move swiftly to improve and rectify their processes. We also expect fishers and fishing companies will improve their practices and obey the law where appropriate. Mr. Speaker, the industry has proved in the past that it's capable of changing its methods very quickly, and I'm sure this will be no exception. And I'll go into a couple of instances where those changes have happened very quickly. A couple of 3 years ago, this Parliament debated the foreign charter vessels legislation, which effectively banned the use of foreign charter vessels in New Zealand waters. It was very hotly debated at the time by the fishing industry. There was significant concern that some entities in New Zealand wouldn't be able to use their quota. They wouldn't have access to the fishing vessels and practices that they needed to catch the amount of fish that they were able to or entitled to catch. That has proved to be flawed, as the foreign charter vessel fishing legislation was introduced very quickly into New Zealand, picked up very quickly by the companies and entities that own quota or fishing vessels. And it's a little bit like a farmer getting rid of his Fergie TEA. It significantly improved the equipment available to the fishing industry. So as this sort of process happens, it enables the fishing industry to pick up new technology and move very quickly. The other thing that's happened in the fishing industry that I think's highlighted a very successful activity and interestingly has come about as a result of one of the primary growth partnership between the fishing industry, Aotearoa Fisheries, Sanford and Sealord, is the precision seafood harvesting, which has enabled the fishing industry to make great progress in the way it catches its fish, the way fish are preserved and I guess not damaged as they go through the process. So this sort of technology will come along and will continue to come along and will improve our opportunities as a country to lead the world in fishing practice and with our monitoring systems and the way our fishing industry preserves fish for its long-term future. Mr. Speaker, if the fisheries don't have appropriate, or fishermen don't have appropriate quota for the species that they catch, they pay a penalty or what's known as a deemed value. MPI sets these penalties, and if you think about the way these penalties or the deemed value is set, it's hugely important that the balance is right in this respect, as that encourages those fishing companies who are catching fish that they don't have quota for to either dispose of those fish, return them to the sea, and if that balance isn't correct, it's going to create practice that's not necessarily in our best interests. It's very important that process is managed in an appropriate manner, and MPI has a challenge around how it does that. I think also when you come to dealing with things like deemed value and the catch that you can't manage, we clearly need to have, there's clearly room for significant improvement in the type of processes and the methods we use to catch those fish, as if we can either retain them and use them or return them to the sea intact, will be a whole lot better off. So there is some progress that I think will be made in that area. It's important that we do, and it's important that MPI move very quickly to encourage the fishing industry to I guess, pick up new technology, find new ways of managing the process, and get on with their business of fishing in a satisfactory manner. So, Mr. Speaker, the government, as I said earlier, welcomes the report. There are opportunities for us to improve what's going on very quickly. MPI will move very quickly, and it's proved in many other areas in the last few years where when you think about MPI, it has some significant challenges. It manages our biosecurity, it manages the whole of almost everything related to our farming systems, which of course produce most of New Zealand's income. And I think it's been impressive the way it's picked up a lot of the challenges it's had around animal welfare and biosecurity particularly, and I'm confident MPI has the ability and the strength to move very quickly in this area as well. So I don't think there's any doubt we'll see a significant improvement in processes around this industry and around these practices as we move forward. Mr. Speaker, the government will respond to this report very quickly, and there are a number of actions that MPI will undertake, and obviously a review of the compliance functions with an aim to providing clearer national leadership and accountability for fisheries compliance. Secondly, reviewing and updating MPI prosecution policy and guidelines with input from the Crown Law. And, Mr. Speaker, I think that it's quite apparent that the Minister will be coming back to this House toward the end of this year with legislation to capture some of the activities or some of the actions that MPI deems necessary to rectify some of the issues that have been identified in this and the two previous reports that have been produced this year. Mr. Speaker, I won't take any more time of the House's time on this issue, but I am confident that the government, as a result of this report and as a result of this debate today, will move very quickly in this area, and I think, like many other challenges that we face as a country, we'll deal with this very quickly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.